Everyone, what's up? Welcome back. If you're new here, I'm Liz, your host here at Crimes Untold, and today we're going to be talking about another case that I just found. Very interesting. She was identified years after she died. We're going to be talking about the girl in blue today. So, for approximately 60 years, this young woman was known as the girl in blue. She was a young woman who was hit by a train near a boarding house in Willoughby, and she was just known from then on as the girl in blue. I would assume from her blue dress and her blue shoes that she was wearing. No one knew exactly who she was or where she was going, who had been the one to call in about her death. That happened on Christmas Eve of 1933. Yes, this is an old case. The remains of this woman would then be brought to the McMahon Funeral Home, and they then would pay, the funeral home itself paid for her funeral arrangements, and the local donations paid for flowers and for her headstone. There's about 3,000 people that went to the funeral home and bid farewell to a girl that they had no idea who she was. It was a very nice community to do that. Her identity remained a mystery until there was a story in the newspaper that talked about the 60th anniversary of her death. This then, a reader of the newspaper contacted the agency and about records and was looking into different records like sales of properties and things like that in Warren County, Pennsylvania. This is when the state authorities for Pennsylvania, I'm assuming the Federal Bureau of Investigation for Pennsylvania, like the FBI of Pennsylvania, then would determine that the girl in blue was actually that of Josephine Klimczak, who went by Josie. The records, however, have not changed her death certificate. She's still actually listed as the girl in blue. The inscription on her headstone as well, first one laid, said, "In memory of the girl in blue killed by train, December 24th, 1933. It has been updated. It says girl in blue, identified as Josephine Klimczak, December 24th, 1933, which is nice that they did update it for her. The reader of the newspaper, the one that obviously was talking to authorities about this, was actually a real estate agent who sold the Klimczak family farm in Spring Creek, Pennsylvania. And after going through the records and things like that, obviously this is when they deduced that this was Josephine Klimczak. They still don't know whether or not this is an accident or whether it was a suicide. But what we know is this. So on December 23rd of 1933, so the day prior, there was a woman, Josephine, who arrived in Willoughby, Ohio. A little bit far away from home. She was from Pennsylvania, but she had come to Ohio. She checked into a boarding house in the downtown area. This is around 8 p.m. that day. She didn't put her name in the logbook, which is technically what you're supposed to do when you check into a boarding house. But she told the person working that her name was Kate. By the next morning, around 11 a.m., the owner of the boarding house told her how to get to the bus station there in Willoughby. After this conversation, Kate, or Josephine, left only to return about an hour later, and she looked distraught, kind of worried. She went back to her room and she came back out with her suitcase, and then she left again. She was spotted around town by multiple different people, and this is about like a block south from where the boarding house was. She went to the end of the street, and this is near like a bunch of maple trees, and this area in particular faced a set of railroad tracks. This set of railroad tracks was eastbound. So it's an eastbound train would come down the tracks. This is when this woman then would drop her suitcase and she ran into the path of the train. This train hit her at 65 miles per hour. Obviously, since we know she was not identified, she had no identifying belongings other than her train ticket, which the train ticket showed she was going to Corey, Pennsylvania. She had 90 cents And she also had a handkerchief amongst the other things in her luggage. And then she was known as the girl in blue with her blue dress and her blue shoes. Of course, we know now that she is that of Josephine Klimczak, who was just 21 years old. That, my friends, is the girl in blue. I hope this was something new for you to learn about because it was definitely intriguing for me. But I'll see you in the next one.